So the building you see here behind me is deep in the heart of Lakeway. This is the Lakeway Resort and Spa, and I'm going to go in more depth about the Lakeway Resort and Spa in a future video. There is a restaurant in there. It is called the TR Restaurant Bar and Lounge. I've eaten there before. It's got beautiful views of the lake, good food, good service. It's also worth noting that you do not have to be a guest of the resort to eat at the restaurant. However, it is not accessible by boat. Also of note is in the lobby is a really nice bar if you just want to stop in sometime and have a drink. Alright, so we are still at Mile Buoy 16, except now we've moved over to the north side of the lake. The building behind me is the old Gnarly Gar, which closed at the end of the 2021 season very recently. I got a lot to say here about this location, this restaurant, so if you'll just bear with me, I hope you'll find it interesting. I'm going to tie in some of the loose ends that I mentioned earlier in this video. So when I first started coming here in '97 to visit my girlfriend at the time, now wife, Gretchen, the restaurant that was operating in this location was called Shades. In fact, there was a water taxi that would transport guests from the south side of the lake at the Lakeway Marina over here to Shades, and it was very popular. The taxi was eventually discontinued, mainly due to parking problems on the south side. Shades closed, discontinued operations. Now I'm going to tie in a couple of things that I mentioned earlier in our trip. Remember when we were up in Hearst Creek and I showed you the location of where a floating restaurant used to be? The restaurant that was eventually closed during the drought and towed out to the deep water. Well, the structure you see before you now is that very same structure. At the end of the drought, that building was brought out of mothball status and towed 3 miles west and over to the north side of the lake and reopened here under the name of the Gnarly Gar, which is the building, the restaurant that you actually see. When this building was still Sand Hill up in Hearst Creek back in '99, my wife and I actually had our wedding rehearsal dinner on that deck right over there. Remember when we talked about Shack 512 up in Sandy Creek on the north side of the lake, and I said that a couple of decades ago it was owned by the same folks that now own Cafe Blue. Well, word has it that one of the investors in Cafe Blue recently purchased the old Gnarly Gar, and they plan to reopen it in the spring of 2022 under the name of Captain Pete's. We're pretty excited about this because this is probably where we go the most, since it's just not even a mile across the lake from our home port in Lakeway. So, also, while there are several restaurants on the main body of the lake, in other words, not up in a cove, this is the only one that floats. And so it gives you a really great eye-level view of the boats going up and down the lake, more so than some of the other restaurants that we've talked about already. You get to see the big cabin cruisers and the sport boats and the speed boats and things such as that. But one of the points here is that it can get a little choppy, so when I come here I try to park my boat in the back. I've come here dozens of times and parked on the side, and I'll continue to do so, but if you do that, just make sure that your lines are pretty tight and you've got a couple of good bumpers out, because it can get choppy here on the main body, especially for a venue that floats. As a real estate agent, this community back here in the background, which is called Point Venture, is where I actually closed on my first property. I've closed on 2 properties back here in Point Venture, and it has come to be a neat little area that I really like. And ironically, after living here for so long, I'd never set dry foot on land there in Point Venture until I closed those properties, and I really like it a lot. So I'm going to be talking more about that and some of the other neighborhoods here around the lake in a future video. So we're back over on the south side of the lake again. This time we're probably close to buoy number 17, and we are up in Rough Hollow Cove. The restaurant here is the Canyon Grill at Rough Hollow. It's a really nice restaurant. I've eaten there before. Ironically, I've only eaten there once, and I say ironically because you could probably walk here from my house, which is not even a mile that way, but it's a really good place. It offers great views of not just the Rough Hollow Cove, but the main body of the lake off in the distance as well. Another interesting point here is that if you are a resident of Rough Hollow, you get 10% off of your purchases of food and non-alcoholic beverages here at the grill. Rough Hollow is it's a really neat community. It's one of the neater communities here in the Greater Lakeway area. It offers a lot of amenities, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that in a future video. So we have one more restaurant left on our survey, and it is about 5 miles from here further west in Briarcliff. So once again, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Okay, so here we are. Believe it or not, we're at our last stop. I know you didn't think we'd probably ever get here. We are in front of the Lighthouse Cafe. We are in Briarcliff, on the south side of the lake near mile buoy, I think it's 26. We're actually up in what's called Cap Hollow Cove. I'm not going to lie to you, I did not know that this cove had a name. I had to find that on a map. But this restaurant is accessible by both boat and car. The boat slips are around back behind this marina that you see right here, there on the other side. And this is a live music venue at times, and it offers great views of the cove and the main body of the lake off in the distance. So one of my biggest memories probably of this restaurant is years ago. I think it was under different management at the time. They had this great breakfast. My friends and I would sometimes convoy here on a Sunday morning with our families in a parade of boats, and they had this great breakfast pizza. I'm not sure if they still have a breakfast menu anymore, to be honest with you, but I do know that it's a great place to stop for a drink, and I've had the lunch, and it's really good, so you should check it out. Alright y'all, so that concludes our survey of the Lake Travis restaurants. As you can see, there's a lot of great places to eat out here in Lake Travis, and just also so you know that a lot of the marinas here on the lake with Ship Store, they sell snacks and sandwiches, so if you're out on the lake and you get hungry, you don't necessarily feel like stopping in at a restaurant, that's fine. You can just pop into a Ship Store somewhere and get something to eat. And over the next several months, weather permitting, I plan to be putting out several videos about lake life, lake activity, lake attractions. So I hope you like this. I hope you'll come back and check out some of those other videos. Again, my name is David Reynolds. I'm a real estate agent in the area. My contact information is below. And I hope that if you have an interest in buying or selling property, not just in Lake Travis, but anywhere in the greater Austin area, that you'll please feel free to give me a call. So that's it for this video. I hope it made you hungry. Come on out, enjoy the lake, and please give me a like and tell your friends before you go.